welcome to another video from GIS Associates. We're going to continue our GISP certification series and talk about how do we earn contribution points, which are one of the requirements to get the certification. Now, as we may remember from previous videos, that you have to have a minimum of 150 total points that get divided across three areas. You have educational points, professional experience points, and contribution points. And that's what we'll be focusing on in this video. For contributions, you must have a minimum of 8 points. You can certainly go above that because you have 52 points that can be free floated amongst the three categories, but you must have at least 8 points in the contribution category. And a lot of folks are, unhappy about this. They complain a good bit about whether this really should be part of the certification requirement. Why do they have to do it? And I think to answer that question, we need to look at the characteristics of a profession. So if we assume that GIS is indeed a profession, truly a profession, not just a practice or not just a tool, right? If we assume that, then there are certain characteristics that make that up. And I've looked at several definitions of what it means to be a profession and a professional. And there are a lot of commonalities between the various definitions I've looked at, and I've kind of boiled it down to these specific characteristics that make up a profession. So you've got to have specialized knowledge and skills, right? And so we've already kind of tackled that by showing that, yeah, we do things that others don't do. And we combine skills that some other professions such as surveyors and geographers and programmers and all that also do, but we combine them in a very unique way so that not everybody can do what we do in GIS. You also must have formal education, and we have that. We have degree programs all the way up to PhD level now in GIS. So there's certainly formal education tracks that we have to go through in order to really get into the profession now. And you see that in all the job requirements requiring degrees, usually with a focus in GIS and so on. But it's not just formal education as in college, university. It is continuing need for education. And with GIS constantly evolving and changing with new technologies coming down the pike. So we've got ArcGIS Pro from Esri. We have drones, UAVs that we are now having to work with and figure out how to do what we need to do with them. LiDAR data, new sensors that come out, all of that is there. Plus, there's also the need for professional growth, right? So we need leadership development, managerial skills. All of those things are part of that as well. So we definitely have that within GIS. We have the Leadership Academy from ERISA. We have multiple conferences we can go to see the latest and greatest technologies coming forward. So we definitely have that need. Also, as a professional, we practice responsibility and authority. And this is probably the weakest part of GIS being called a profession, because we really haven't established that authority, that as a GISP, I am uniquely responsible for what I do. I get to choose and say yes or no to the work I am doing. And that's something that I think by and large we don't tend to do in GIS, but you see it in other professions. Attorneys certainly get to pick who their clients are, what cases they take. Doctors certainly make certain calls and are unwilling to do certain things when it comes to the health care of their patients. Engineers certainly do that with their ability to design things and make the right call on what materials to use and all that kind of stuff, right? So, we can and should be doing that in GIS. I think it's probably just something we don't do on a regular basis. But once you get your GISP, you've got to be able to do that. And part of where we make that delineation is the code of ethics. It helps guide us, and the rules of conduct. Those kind of provide a framework for us to operate in when we're choosing what we can and cannot do, right? So we've talked a little bit about that, I think, in past videos. Of course, to be a profession, you got to have some sort of licensure or certification. GIS, we have the GISP, so we're good there, which also includes an apprenticeship period. So we've got the 4-year requirement in the GISP before you can get certified. So you have to have worked in the profession for a certain period of time to show that you actually know what to do, right? That you just don't come out of college. And that's true. You look at any of the professions out there, lawyers, doctors, all that, before you can sit for the bar and all that kind of things. You've got to spend some time doing that, practicing in the field. So we talked about standard ethics, or code of ethics already. Professional culture. So GIS, we certainly have a professional culture. We have multiple professional organizations with ERISA, GITA, NISJIC, UCGIS. There's a bunch of them out there, right? So that helps set that up. But we also have, just besides those, as a industry, we tend to be wanting to share, right? So we like to share our skills, our knowledge, our data. And that's part of our professional culture. We like to push the envelope. We like to try new things. That's part of our professional culture. So we definitely have one. You're not around for 50 years. And GIS is now over 50 years old officially, right? It's like 55 or 6 or something like that. Anyway, so we've developed a culture over time that really reflects the core values of what we believe within our industry, within our community. And that also follows up with a responsibility to the community, that as a profession, you have some responsibility to give back, right? You got to the level you are probably not by yourself. You had the assistance of others, either professors at your college, other professionals that mentored you, your customers or clients, I should say, that pushed you to try new things to meet their requirements and all that. So you have a responsibility to give back to that. And you see this in other professions. Doctors have Doctors Without Borders, right? You have attorneys that do pro bono work out there. It's giving back to that community in a meaningful manner and kind of helping to grow your profession, right? Making it a better place for others, and so that others see the value in it and whatnot. And others want to come into that profession so you don't stagnate, that you get fresh blood and all that stuff. So that's part of that responsibility. And that's really where these contributions come in, right? Having that responsibility to the community so that you are part of a bigger organism, right? So you're contributing, you're being a valuable part of that. And lastly, you have clients and not customers. And that's, heard the saying, customers always right, though. That's what happens when you go to Walmart or Best Buy or, your local convenience store, whatever it happens to be. The customer, if they want to buy a certain TV, you sell them the certain TV. You may try to dissuade them a little bit, tell them you got a better one over here, or, this one's a little bit less, but cost whatever. But generally, the customer's all right. With a profession, that's not true. It's your job to guide your clients. They will express a desire, and then as a professional, you have to kind of filter through, well, what is it, what do they need versus what do they want, and try to guide them down the path, as well as to, at some point, potentially have to tell them no, that they are asking you to do something that is unethical or outside the rules of conduct. And that's, again, kind of goes back to that whole responsibility and authority part of being a profession. So, if we look at this, it certainly appears that GIS meets all these characteristics. And as I said, being part of a profession or being declared a profession does have the key of having to be responsible to the community as a whole. So that's, again, where that professional contributions come in. So what are contributions, right? What can you count? What equals? Well, any activity that's outside your normal job duties that benefit the profession in some way, such as expanding the overall knowledge and skill of those in the profession. So that could be presenting something new you learned at a conference. You learn some new technology, you learn some new workflow, whatever it is. You're expanding the knowledge and skill across the profession in some form or fashion. That's a contribution. Increasing awareness of the profession within the larger community. So going and explaining what GIS is to people so they understand the value. That could be going to your local school for GIS Day and teaching the kids about the profession. It could be going and attending a conference like the League of Cities and kind of going and explaining to the elected officials what GIS is and how it benefits. It could be going to your local community center and giving some sort of, anyway, anything that increases the awareness in the larger community. anything that makes use of your skills as a GIS person that benefits others. So volunteering to respond in a natural disaster, say through GIS Corps, potentially is another way. And then things that help you develop your personal professional skills so that when you're growing as well. So this would be being a member of a professional organization such as URISA, and that kind of thing. So these are things that equal contributions. So for the GISP, what we do is we break down contributions into 8 categories. You have publications, professional organization involvement, workshop instruction, conference participation, awards, volunteer efforts, and others. And so we can look at that like this. So if you author a book, you get 15 points. So I've written 2 books on ArcGIS Pro. That was not part of my job duties as CEO of EGIS Associates. Not part of a client request or project. It was something that I did. So I get 15 points per book. So that's 30 points. If you author a chapter in a book, you get 5 points. If you publish a map, that again is not work really. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But if you publish a map online for some effort, for whatever, you get that. You write an article for Directions Magazine or Arc News or something like that. You get 3 points per article. If you go to a conference and you present and they take your presentation and include it in some sort of conference proceeding, and that can be a printed proceedings or an online proceedings. Nowadays, most of them are online. That is 2 points there. If you are a magazine or newsletter editor, you get 1 point per year that you do that. So that's a lot of points that you can get out of that category. Being involved in an association such as URISA, right? Just being a member of URISA or one of its chapters gets you 1 point per year. But it's not just URISA. If you have a local users group that tracks membership, that counts. So like Shrug, the Seven Hills Regional Users Group out of Tallahassee, or the PD Users Group up in northern South Carolina around Florence County area. Again, that's 1 point per year. And if you're a member of multiple organizations, you get 1 point per year per each member organization that you're part of. So, I am a URISA International member. I'm a Georgia URISA chapter member. I'm a Shrug member. That's 3 points per year right there just by being a member. Okay, so if you're a member of those for multiple years, they rack up pretty quickly. If you're a part of that group and you're really active in it, then say you join a committee. So maybe you're on the education committee and you help plan educational events or develop educational materials. That's 2 points per year. You're a member of that committee, right? If you really step it up and become the chair, the leader of that committee, then you get 3 points per year that you're the chairperson of that committee. If you take it up even further and you get elected to the board of directors for an organization, right? So you're on that board, you get 4 points per year that you're a member of that board. And then lastly, if you really get up there and you're like me and just can't say no and find yourself president of an organization, then you get 5 points per year. So for example, I'm a past president of URISA International. Now that actually required a 3-year term. The first year I was president-elect, then I was president, and then lastly I was the immediate past president. So for the year that I was president-elect and the year that I was immediate past president, I got 4 points for each of those years. So that's 8 points for those 2 years. And then the year I was president was 5. So that's 13 points that I got for that track. Again, blows that 8 points out of the water. Now, won't say it was easy. It took a lot of time and effort. But again, it's not really hard to earn some of these points. For association memberships, there are several organizations that don't charge anything. So I'm an Alaska URISA member. They're free to join. You go to their website, you join online. There's no cost involved in that. But there you go. There's 1 point. And there's several URISA chapters like that. There may be, like I said, your local users group may not charge dues. It doesn't matter if they charge dues. Dues don't count. It's just, do they track membership in some way? Can you prove you're a member? At which point, and it's an active organization. It can't be something that just claims to be a group that never gets together or does anything, right? It has to be an active organization, but again, you can do that. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. So going to a conference, great way to earn points. So if you go to a conference and you present, right? So at the conference, you give a presentation. That's 1 point per conference you present at. If you do workshop instruction, you get 3 points. If you chair the conference committee, you get 4 points as the chair, and so on. So you can get a lot of points. So for example, I'm going up to the North Carolina GIS conference later today. And while at the conference, I'm teaching a workshop. So I'll be teaching in a GISP prep workshop tomorrow there. So that's 3 points for that. And I'm giving 2 presentations at the conference. I'm giving one presentation on is your data ready for 3D? And I'm giving another presentation on migrating to ArcGIS Pro. So that's 2 presentations in the conference. So I'm going to get a point for each one of those. So that's 5 points for being at the conference on contributions. That doesn't count. I also get education points because I'm there. I'm going to be sitting in on various presentations throughout the conference, learning about new technology, seeing how others are implementing GIS. So again, getting that education. So I'm going to get education points for attending the conference, and then I'm going to get professional contribution points for teaching a workshop and presenting at the conference, right? So conferences are great ways to get increased points, right? So I get education points for being there. And then if I'm active, I present, maybe I submit a map or a poster for their map gallery or poster gallery, I can get a point for doing that. So we get a lot of points by going to conferences. Now, other things you can get points for, talking about conferences again, if you moderate sessions at the conference or you work the registration booth while you're there at the conference, you get 1 point for doing that per event. So a conference, even if it's a multi-day conference, is an event. So it would be 1 event, right? If you organize an event, so maybe you do a GIS day event at your local school, right? And that's not part of your normal job duties, then you can get 2 points for organizing that event. And then participating in that event, you would get 1 point. If you do volunteer, through GIS Core. So if you're not familiar with GIS Core, go to giscore.org. I'll make sure to include a link in the video description. And you volunteer to assist with some project they've got going on. Well, if you're deployed, and GIS Core does occasionally deploy people to an on-site location, you get 0.5 point per day you're deployed. If you are working from home or after hours at your work for some project that they're doing, then you get 0.05 points per hour that you're volunteering. But it could also be things like you volunteer to create maps for your local church spring festival. That would count too, and that would be 0.05 points per hour that you spend building the maps and things for that nature. If you happen to get some awards, so if you win the ERISA ESIG, Exceptional Systems in Government Award, you're part of the team that put together the app or the software, or whatever it was that won the award, you get 3 points for that. So, and if you get an award locally from your local users group or whatnot, you can get 2 points for a local original award. That doesn't count awards for being the best employee. Awards from your employer don't count. They have to be from some other organ. It be an Esri award. They give out their awards, so you can get it for that. Anything of that nature, you can get points. So just remember that you got to have a minimum of 8 points, right? And again, it's not hard. I've given you some ideas on very inexpensive ways to earn points. You shouldn't have a big problem. You do need to provide documentation for anything of 2 or more points, right? Anything less than that, you're not required to provide documentation. It's always recommended that if you have it, provide it. Also, if say you're claiming you're a ERISA member for 8 years, you can't break that down into each year as a separate claim, because that would be 1 point per year and you wouldn't have to provide documentation. No, you have to combine all of that, right? So if you come for 8 years, that's 8 points. You've got to provide some sort of documentation for that. Okay? So, like I said, if you've got the documentation, provide it. Things that can be counted as documentation. So attendance at a conference or presenting at a conference program, showing that you were presenting a web agenda that shows you were presenting, a email acknowledging that you've been selected to present, all of that counts. If you were on a board, screenshot showing the organization website leadership with your name on it would count. If you're committee member, a thank you letter or note from the organization for your job, the great job you did in that role. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy. Just whatever you can get your hands on there. Now, for presenting at a conference or having a map poster at a conference or moderating, just having a name badge does not count. That would work for education points, but not for contribution points. You've got to have something that acknowledges you did more than just attend the conference. So like I said, screenshot of the agenda online, program showing that you were a presenter, a letter saying you were accepted, or an email, any of those kind of things would count. Things that do not count. Anything you basically get paid to do as part of your normal job duty, you cannot count. So sales presentation. So if you go to a conference and you are working for a vendor and you do a sales presentation to a group of people about your latest and greatest new widget, that doesn't count. Maps or map books you create for a client project do not count. If they get included in a report that you do as part of a client project, it does not count, even if it's published online, like a comprehensive plan for a county showing their future growth plans or whatever. No, that doesn't count because that was work you did as part of your job duty. Client presentation. So going to a client and showing them the end result of all your analysis and what you did, or project status, that kind of stuff, does not count. Okay, so basically, if you're paid to do it as part of your normal job duties, it doesn't count. Now, if you go and teach a workshop and you get paid an honorarium, that's fine, because that basically most of those honorariums aren't more than enough to cover your expenses. That's fine. If your expenses are reimbursed, you do a volunteer effort for GIS Corps and they send you down to Puerto Rico, for example, and they pay for your expenses, that's fine. You can still count it. It's not part of your normal job duty. So just keep that in mind. So how do we enter this into our portfolio? So we'll go and take a look at that now. Okay, so we're going to open a web browser. And I've shown this before, but GISCI has changed their website, so it's going to show how it looks now. But you go to the GISCI website, just go up here, gisci.org, there we go. So you're going to go here. I'm going to log out. I didn't realize I was logged in. But go up here where it says log in. Now, if you've never created an account, you'd click here to register and create your account. Again, there's no charge for that. That doesn't start any clock. You can create an account and begin tracking your portfolio at any point. Again, it doesn't cost money and it doesn't start the 6-year ticker. You can go ahead and do that. So once you created that, you're going to log in. So I'm going to log in with my credentials. Now that I'm logged in, I'm going to go click on this application link. And it brings me up to the welcome here. Now, if I want to go take the exam, I'd go down here to sign up to take the exam. But that's not what I'm working on. I'm working on my application. So I go up here to the top and click on the application tab. Now you can see here I've been working on my portfolio, and I'm going to start here with kind of the overview of what I've currently posted. So you can see my education is up here. Here's my experience down here, and then here's my professional contributions. Okay. So if I want to add more contributions, I'm going to click up here where it says contributions. And I'm going to click then add contributions. I'm going to choose the category that I want to do that. So let's go workshop instruction since I'm about to go do that. And there's only one workshop instruction, so it's 3 points. And the start year for that is going to be this year. So go down to 2019. And year 2019, and put in a description. Oops, got to type correctly. Dang it. Okay. And then I can either put a link, or I can upload a file showing the proof of that. So I'm going to go to the NCGIS conference, which is right here, and go to workshops. And here is my workshop that I'm teaching. You can see there's my instructor, so I can just include this link right here as proof, because it is 3 points, so I've got to provide some documentation, and I can't do this now. Word of the warning about links, sometimes that'll go away. They'll take the page down, or it'll change, or whatever. So you might want to actually screenshot that and upload it. But for just demonstration purposes, this will work. I'm going to click Save. So you can now see my workshop instruction has been added to my list. Okay? So it's very easy at that point, or very easy to add new contributions in here. So you just, again, add contribution, pick the category from the 8 we discussed from here. So I could put in, say, association involvement, and then association membership, 1 point per year, and say I've been a ERISA member at least since '99 up to now. And then I could go and I'm not going to pull it, but you get the idea, right? Pull my membership record from ERISA. They have that online. If you're a member, you can log in and get that information and go save. And then that's been added to that. So, and you can see I got 21 points for that, for being a member that long. Wow, it's been that long. Wow. Anyway, so you get the idea. It's very easy to put it in through GISCI's online application. I always recommend keeping a backup copy, but that's me. I like paper, so I don't always trust online. But that's up to you. I would encourage you to keep backup copies just in case, but again, that's up to you on how you want to do that. Okay, well, that's it. I hope you now understand better how to, one, enter in your professional contributions, two, what can be counted as professional contributions, and really see why they're part of the GISP certification process. I think they're really an important part of it. You may differ on that's fine, but at least now you have a better understanding. So with that, remember, if you need any assistance with GIS implementation, integrating with other systems, kind of planning out your next big GIS implementation or growth, or helping develop training plans for staff, we can certainly help you with that. We can also provide Rent-A-Tech services. So maybe there's a new project starting up and there's certain skill sets that you need, but you only need them for the project. Reach out to us. We can help you out with that. And if you need any sort of training or support, maybe you are about to implement ArcGIS Pro and you need to get your staff up to speed, we're here to help you out with that. With either on-site training options, we can come to you. We have a training lab that allows us to do that, or online self-paced courses. We offer that as well. So with that, we appreciate you watching the video. Feel free to reach out to us. Visit our website at www.egisassociates.com. Give us a call at 678-710-9710, or shoot us an email at info@egisassociates.com. If you really like what you do and you'd like to help us make things even better, maybe get some better equipment, better software, be able to spend more time making instructional videos, please become a patron of our channel, and you see the link to that provided there. If you'd like to get your hands on some wonderful EGIS merchandise, it's like some t-shirts or mouse pads or water bottles or whatnot, please visit our merchandise store there at that link and pick you up some nice little EGIS things. Love to see you out there wearing those. So with that, I've got to get ready to head off to the North Carolina GIS conference. For anybody that's going to be there, I look forward to seeing you. Make sure you say hi. I'm going to try to be covering the conference via YouTube, so posting some videos, maybe even streaming from the conference. We'll see. I was just playing with streaming this weekend, but anyway, with that, look forward to seeing you in the next video, and have a good one.